everyone! So this video is going to be all of my thoughts and opinion on the popular line of fitness trackers, Fitbit. Now, I have my hands right now on 2 Fitbit trackers, but I have, however, used 3 different ones. So I kind of have a good idea of Fitbit trackers and how they work and what people are looking for and just different things like that. So I wanted to talk to you guys about the 2 I have on hand right now. Right now, I have the Fitbit Flex and I also have the Fitbit Charge HR. So I wanted to kind of go in depth about both of them, kind of let you guys know different things that each of them offer and just kind of my overall thoughts and which one I think is worth the money and the pros and cons of each of them. So because I think this video could get a little bit lengthy, let's go ahead and hop into it. So first and foremost, I want to let you guys know the background that I personally have with Fitbit trackers. I'm sorry that the sun is going in and out, by the way. I can't help it. It just keeps going in and out. I am so sorry. Okay, so a little bit about me and my personal experience with Fitbit. As soon as the first Fitbit came out, which is the Fitbit Flex, I immediately jumped on it. I thought it was such a cool idea. I loved the whole concept of Fitbit and I just really wanted to get to know it. So if you guys are not familiar with the Fitbit Flex, basically what this does is it actually calculates how many steps that you do in a day, as well as it tracks your sleep pattern. So it will let you know if you got a good night's rest, how long you slept, and if you were kind of restless throughout the night, this will track all of that for you. Now when I first heard it, I was like, well, that could be kind of gimmicky, but I wanted to test it out for myself. So back when the Fitbit first came out, I did buy the Fitbit Flex and I wore it for, I'd say, maybe 4 or 5 months. And at that point, I just didn't find myself very motivated with it. I had a Polar watch at the time, and because that tracked my heart rate, I was more motivated by that watch. However, I did love the fact that I was able to calculate my steps all day long, and I didn't have to wear like an actual like big clunky watch plus a heart rate monitor. I liked that I could calculate my steps and it just was very simple and unique design, and it wasn't that big of like a device, so I really liked it for that reason. But then I just kind of stopped with Fitbit altogether and I stuck with just my heart rate monitor and watch, and I was good with that. And then let's fast forward maybe a year or so, I ended up picking up a different Fitbit Flex because I ended up either returning that one or I think I might have just returned it. So I think I returned the original one, purchased the Fitbit Flex again, and he still was just kind of like, At that point, the Fitbit Charge had just come out, so I decided I would try the Fitbit Charge. So I tried that one out, and I definitely was much more motivated by the Fitbit Charge because on top of everything else that the Flex calculated, this Fitbit Charge actually calculated steps, and I actually did a lot of steps back then. I climbed a lot of set of stairs. So I at that time was very motivated by what the Fitbit Charge actually offered. So I wore the Fitbit Charge probably for all of maybe a month if I was lucky. I did not like how chunky the Fitbit Charge was because at the time I would wear my Fitbit plus my watch. So already that was really, really thick, even having just a small Fitbit. But then I would wear my Fitbit Charge plus a watch, which the Fitbit Charge did say the time, which I really liked. But I had like a holy grail watch at the time that like I had to wear all the time. I never wanted to take my watch off. So to have both of them, it was just a little bit too much and it was just too clunky and chunky for me. So I totally understand all of the people who are like, Fitbit Charge is just really, really chunky and I just am not a big fan of it. I totally understand where people come from with that statement. So moving forward a little bit, I ended up getting my hands on like the Nike GPS watch. So I ended up becoming a huge fan of that, but then it had its little flaws. I ended up getting rid of that. I ended up having my hands on the Garmin watch. I think it's like the Garmin Vivo Active watch. It's like a smartwatch. I had my hands on that for a while, and it seemed like every time I was done with like the other gimmicky ones like the Nike and the Garmin and everything, I always went back to my Fitbit Flex. I loved just how simple it was. It was small, it was simple. I loved everything that it tracked. It kept me motivated to walk. A little bit about me. I used to work in retail, so I did so much walking. I would hit my 10,000 steps by, I think it was like 12 o'clock. I hit 10,000 steps between 8 o'clock and 12 o'clock, so that just shows how much walking I did. But I never really realized how many steps I did because back then, 10,000 steps was just nothing to me. I did it by 12 o'clock. By lunchtime, I had already hit my goal. Now that I have a sit-down office job, it's really difficult to hit 10,000 steps, and I know I have to have some sort of fitness tracker on me to make sure I'm getting my steps every single day because it is so important to make sure that you are moving and your lifestyle is very active, and I just needed to make sure that I hit my steps every day. So I, for probably the past last 6 or 7 months have been wearing my Flex every single day. Now, I was noticing that the Flex just wasn't enough when I went to the gym. I loved tracking my heart rate, and I used my Polar watch. I think 2 different Polar watches. I have like the FT4 and I had the F60 or something like that, something 60. And both of those I loved so much, but I always wanted to wear my Fitbit as well. So I was like, you know what? I am actually just going to try the Fitbit Charge HR and just get an idea for it. Because I tried the Fitbit Flex, I tried the Fitbit Charge, I wanted to try the Fitbit Charge HR, which that is what this bad boy is. So basically, my overall thought about the HR, I have been kind of going back and forth between both of these to see which one keeps me more motivated and which one makes me more accountable for my steps. And I would have to say, hands down, the one that trumps completely would be the Charge HR. The reason for that being is when I just look at it, I just do a quick tap, it tells me in numbers how many steps I have walked. When it comes to the Fitbit Flex, it just shows little dots. So it doesn't tell you the exact number. And the reason why it helps seeing the physical number on my tracker, not on my phone, but on my tracker is because let's say I'm in the kitchen cooking and I see I walked 8,500 steps or I walked 8,900 steps. In my mind, seeing that, I'm like, oh, I only have 100 more steps. Let me take a quick lap around the house. Or whatever it may be, it makes me move more. But if I were looking on here, I would just see 4 flashing lights about to hit the 5th one, and I'd just be like, oh, you know, I don't know where I am. I don't know if I'm like 9,000, 8,000. I don't know where I stand. Now, it does show different flashes. Like if you're in 8,000s, it was kind of flash slow, and then when you're in the 9,000s, it goes faster. I do know that, but without seeing the actual number, I'm not motivated to just like, let's say walk in place or make sure, okay, before 1 o'clock, let's hit 3,000 or whatever it may be. I just feel way more motivated with the fact that I can see the number. I do not like keeping Bluetooth on my phone all day. I always have it turned off until I need it. So when I came to my Flex, I had to turn my Bluetooth on every time, resync the device to see the actual number, to actually visually see the number that I was at. And it worked at the time, but I didn't realize how little motivation I had with the Flex. I have such more motivation with my Fitbit Charge HR. I feel like I can see the number really quick. Oh crap, I only have like, let's say 200 steps. Let's do a couple laps around the house and then I'm done with those 200 steps, you know? So I feel like I hit my goal way quicker and easier with my Charge HR. And that is just coming from a person who is trying to lose a little bit of weight, get in shape before her wedding, and I just want to make sure that I stay in shape. So the differences between the two. This tracks your sleep and it tracks your steps that you take in the day. That's basically it. The Charge HR gives you the time on the main display. It'll show you your steps. It tells you the calories you burned. It gives you your heart rate. And then it also just shows how many miles, which this does too, but you have to look on your app in order to see that. It doesn't give you heart rate or anything like that. And then this one calculates stairs, whereas your Fitbit Flex does not calculate stairs. So stairs is just kind of like a hit or miss. Only some people are going to be interested in that. But what really sets this apart is the fact that there is the heart rate monitor. I personally do not keep it on all day. I don't really care what my heart rate is the entire day. I only want to know where my heart rate is going when I am physically working out. I feel you get a much better calculation of how many calories that you are actually burning, and it just kind of shows you when you've hit your fat burning level or your cardio level in your heart rate. And that's what I want to know. I want to make sure I'm not taking it too easy. I want to make sure I am burning as much fat as I can, and it just kind of gives you a better idea of where your heart rate is. Now, I have read on so many forums that people have so many negative thoughts on this heart rate monitor. They don't believe that it is accurate. Now, I am not someone who does fitness all the time and I'm so big on that. Like, I'm not personally that person. I don't need it to tell me the exact heart rate that I'm at. I go by like Fitbit's configuration of heart rate. So if maybe my heart rate really hit like 170 at some point and this one's only showing like maybe 150, 160, I'm okay with that because it's always gonna hit 150, 160, and I know that that's my highest heart rate. I know it doesn't make any sense. I'm just saying I'm okay with the way that this calculates my heart rate. I just like to know how high I get. And with all of my average numbers, if 170 or whatever it may be is the high number I hit, I know that's a little bit dramatic, but if that's the number I hit, that's my high number. That's the number that I know I'm in the zone. I'm doing good cardio. I'm getting good fat burn going. So I don't know. That's just kind of my take on it, and I know that's a little bit like on more of a naive take on it, but it helps, it works, it keeps me motivated, and I just feel like overall being able to see the number on your Fitbit, I feel like I am much more motivated to get up and move. Now the one thing I have to say that I don't like about Fitbits in general is it does not give you the alert to move. My Garmin Vivo Active, I loved it because every hour or so it reminded me, okay, you haven't moved, you need to get up and walk. And you had to walk so much of a distance before it would recalculate and say, okay, you're good for another hour or so. So I really love the Vivo Active for that reason. These don't do that. However, I do know that there is a new Fitbit coming out, and yes, I did already pre-order it. In the meantime, I'm loving my Fitbit Charge HR. I really feel like it makes me much more accountable. I feel like I feel much more energized when I get my 10,000 steps in, and I just am a big fan of the Fitbit line in general. I know a lot of people say that the calculations are off. There are some configurations that you should do yourself. Make sure that you make it very personal to yourself. Calculate your stride, see how far you actually walk, calculate your actual heart rate. If you have a heart rate monitor watch, try and configure and know what your resting heart rate actually is, and that helps the Fitbit understand, because the Fitbit is a little bit more of like a smarter watch, so it tries to do more of like a guessing game, so it's not always accurate, but you can't take all of these devices accurate. You can't just think that all of these are just giving you the magical number that is like legit your magical number. You kind of have to do averages and take into consideration, and you know, whatever it may be, if it says you burn 500 calories, maybe you only burn 400. Don't take it so, like, don't stress over the numbers, because that's just way crazy and it's just insane. But anyway, that's kind of my thought about it. If I had to go by like the actual physical design, I would say the Fitbit Flex is way better looking. This one is a little bit thick, it's a little bit clunky. I think the Fitbit Flex has a much prettier look to it, which is why I like the new one that is coming out. But if you want to have heart rate, which is so important with fitness, if you're doing cardio or if you're doing weights and you want to know how many calories you burn, heart rate is pretty important. So if you want to have it all in one device, I definitely say the Charge HR is the best. I would say don't waste your money on the Charge. The Charge is just kind of like a lost and forgotten child. It's like not important, because the thing that really makes the Charge HR so great is the heart rate. Otherwise, what I'd say, it's super important to make sure that you get the Charge HR over the Flex because of the number display. No, the number display is not worth the extra money, because you can look at your phone. If you want to keep your phone on Bluetooth the whole time and be able to just go to the app and see the number that you're on with the all-day sync, fine, that's great. But the fact that the Charge HR has the heart rate monitor, I definitely recommend it over the Flex. Anyway, that is just kind of my non-professional review on this. I just kind of wanted to give you guys some ideas and overview of what these products do and why I think they are beneficial and why I wear them and I enjoy them and what I think about them. And anyway, I just kind of wanted to give you guys my thoughts about them. So that is it. That is my thought on the product. I hope I helped you guys out a little bit. This is just kind of an invite for you guys to ask questions in the comments below, interact with one another, answer each other's questions. I'll go ahead and answer questions as well, so just make sure you leave any questions you guys have in the comments below, and make sure you guys read the comments to see if your question has already been asked and answered. So anyway, that is all I have for you guys today. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you guys follow me on all my social media networks, on Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat. Those are my 3 favorites, and I will see you guys in my next video. Take care, everyone.